Everybody, this is Dream. We have a 3-game NBA slate tonight that starts at 10 p.m. 3 games here. There's a few injuries in these games, so let's go ahead and get into those. Before I do that, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really does help the channel. With that said, let's take a look at the injury report here. See, all 6 teams have guys that are either questionable or out. So we're going to start with the Nets, with Irving out. The Trailblazers, Nurkic and Winslow are both questionable. The Spurs, Collins is out. The Kings, Murray is questionable. The Pistons, Cunningham and Stewart are out. The Clippers, PG-13 is questionable. Kawhi is out, and Kennard is doubtful. I'm going to go through each team real quick and give you kind of a breakdown of what I think about how to potentially utilize matchups today. And I'll give you my top picks overall at the end. But for the Nets, so we only have Kyrie out, so that's going to give a boost to like Curry and also Sumner if he ends up starting again. Now Royce O'Neal's somebody I like, but he hasn't been very good the last few games. And then Claxton also gets a nice little boost in this matchup. Even though he had a bad game last game, I still think he's in a pretty good spot. Then we're going to look at the Portland Trailblazers here. Now Nurkic is questionable and Winslow is questionable. If Nurkic doesn't play, that's going to give a great boost to Eubanks, who is still actually not really come up in price. And so, you know, he's not somebody that you really expect to 10x or something, but he could definitely be a good value play on this one. Outside of him, there's not a whole lot to like because everybody seems a little bit overpriced. And it really depends. If Nurkic ends up playing, then he would be somebody that I'd be interested in potentially. But that's kind of what I see from Portland. Then we'll look at the San Antonio Spurs here. Now, the only guy that's out is Collins, which has been giving Bassie and Soccer a little bit of a boost. And so I definitely take a look there. But I obviously like Keldon Johnson and Jacob Poeltl. They have both played well this season. And then Bassie is kind of an interesting value play on this one. But, you know, we'll still have to see how that might play out with those guys. Then we'll look at the Sacramento Kings here, and Keegan Murray is questionable. If he's out, that's going to give a small boost to Harrison Barnes and Huter to play more minutes. Malik Monk is also playing more minutes, which is interesting, and he's been pretty good. His price has also come up a lot, so that makes him less ideal. But Sabonis and Fox are both good options on the slate, and I like both those guys quite a bit. Then we're going to look at Detroit here for the Pistons. Cunningham is out and Stewart is out. This is going to give a big boost to Ivy and Bagley, and even Killian Hayes as well. And then Alex Burks may play, and then the one game that he's played so far with Cunningham out, he did really well. So I expect him to be somebody that's interesting as well, assuming he ends up playing. But if Bagley starts at center, which I think he probably would, that would be a good play. And then Bogdanovich actually looks pretty decent today as well. So that's what I have there for Detroit. Now this is where it gets all insane, is the Clippers. If Paul George actually is out, then my goodness, I would start with John Wall. He's just a good player. He's only problem with him lately is his minutes, but he's playing pretty consistently and he's a good player. Then we would look at Markieff Morris as well as a great option. Obviously his price has come up some as well, but still like him here. Then Norman Powell, Trey Mann, Nicholas Batum would all be in play, especially if Kennard is out, to get a big massive minutes and big boost. And so it'd be really easy to be all in on any of those guys. But okay, so that's kind of what I think about each individual team. As for the players that I'm targeting at this point, Trey Jones is the top guy here for San Antonio. He's somebody I really like today. He's been pretty consistent this season. His price has come up some, but he's still a good value on this particular slate. John Wall, De'Aaron Fox, Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey, Seth Curry. Now Curry didn't have a good game last time, but he should get plenty of minutes in this one still. And he is scoring dependent though. We do have to realize that. And then Edmund Sumner for Brooklyn as well. Then for the forwards, my top guys right now are Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes, Norman Powell, and then Kevin Huter. Obviously, that's really subject to change based on how the injury situation plays out, especially for the Clippers and Kings. Both those teams have a lot of guys to consider there. And then for the centers, I have Claxton and Sabonis. Honestly, you might want to try to figure out a way to get both those guys in your lineup today. Now, Claxton hasn't been great the last couple games, but overall, I think he's in an interesting spot here, and so we'll have to see. He just hadn't played as many games the last 2 games because he was hurt. So assuming he can get back to his normal minutes today, he should have some upside in this matchup. Anyway, thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.